Benvenuti a Tremazza.
It's round 2 of the 2026 S1GP season, and we've arrived to Tremazza on the Isle of Sardinia. This venue is steadily becoming a staple of the FIM Supermoto World Championship, and I dare suggest a few of our riders will be staying on after the show to take in the gorgeous coastlines. This spectacular island gem is located west of the Italian mainland and has a unique and storied history that still seeps into its modern culture. Sardinia is home to over 1.5 million residents, and visitors are treated to a welcoming, vibrant environment. Tremazza itself is just 20 minutes from the spectacular beaches of the Oristano area. Not only is this a stunning location, it's also one steeped in motorsport history as a regular host of the World Rally Championship. But increasingly, fans of all things on two wheels are embracing the annual World Supermoto weekend as a highlight of their calendars. The Sardinia Circuit WS98 is one of our shorter laps of the season, but it packs a lot of challenge into less than 1.2 kilometres. We have seen several thrilling battles unfold in our previous visits. Let's take a look at the track with MTR KTM's Julen Avia Cortez.
Hello
everyone, we are here in Tremazza at the Sardinia circuit for the second round of S1GP. Let's discover the most important parts of the track. We're at turn 3, a corner I particularly like. It's very fast, very technical, and takes us directly to the entrance of the first off-road section. It's a very quick entry, but also very treacherous. There are 2 lines, which means that if you don't enter quickly enough, the exit can get complicated and very difficult. You risk crashing. Then there's the inside entry, which is very good, very fast, and helps us, for example, to overtake riders. Here, you can overtake on the inside. It's a good line, very clean and very fast compared to the outside, where you can enter faster, and this helps you gain more speed. Then there's turns 15 and 16, 2 corners I really enjoy. They're corners that come from a very wide angle, very fast, and where it's very easy to overtake in the race. It's an overtaking point where a rider usually goes wide to find a better line, leaves room on the inside to overtake. Turn 16 is very fast. You enter it quickly, but you have to brake mid-corner because you need to find an angle that allows you to enter correctly and then go to the fast start-finish straight. That's why I really like this section. These are the sections I enjoy the most and the most important ones on the circuit. I hope you enjoy it. Now, let's see one of my laps. Right on board with Julen then, straight through the first chicane, which this year they seem to be slightly more liberally cutting that first chicane. On the first lap of the race, we'll miss this first dirt section, but all throughout the weekend, other than the first laps, we will be running over these waves, and it looks like there's been a lot of rainfall recently, so it's a bit more of a clayish surface, and certainly, as we saw there, rejoining on the tarmac, it can get a little bit slippery and treacherous. These riders are going to have to scope that one out as the weekend progresses. There's a bit of cloud cover overhead, we'll have to keep an eye on that. This technical tarmac section gives way to the second run on the dirt. As you can see, it's pretty narrow through here, up over the first of the tabletop jumps. It's a fairly simple dirt section in terms of the layout overhead on satellite, but certainly some nuances as they fire back towards the tarmac, including one big old launch into the air to go back onto the tarmac, but it's not long until they're at the end of the lap. That right-hander gives way to 4 left-hand apexes, square off this middle portion, as Julen alluded to in his track walk, onto the straight, and that's a lap in Sardinia. Metzeler Superpole session, the one-lap shootout to determine who's on pole for race 1 and the fast race. Mark Reiner-Schmidt, Elias Sammartin and Steve Bonnell made it into the three-rider shootout after Q2, and Bonnell was up first in Superpole. The Frenchman set a 1:12.438 in Q2, however he'd need a 1:11 in order to beat the Q2 times of Schmidt and Bonnell. His pace certainly looked impressive, and his consistent speed does mark him as a contender for victory this weekend. However, the TSV Racing rider fell just short of his target. A 1:12.161 was the benchmark set for Sammartin and Schmidt. Elias Sammartin was up next, with the home fans firmly behind the man from Arzignano on the mainland. Sammartin won here in 2025 and had been showing strong pace all weekend to this point. His Q2 time was a 1:11.747 and he came close to matching it in Superpole. The BRT Factory Honda rider's final time was a 1:11.773, not quite an improvement from Q2, but still a time that Mark Reiner-Schmidt would need to push to beat. But if anyone in this paddock is comfortable on the edge, it's going to be Team Undici's four-time world champion. Schmidt made it out of Q2 with a stellar 1:11.498, and his sector splits looked impressive on the all-important Superpole lap. The German, quite frankly, aced it, setting a 1:11.474 for pole position, taking Ducati to the top of Metzeler Superpole for the very first time. Three points on the board then for Mark Reiner-Schmidt as we go into the first race of the weekend here in Sardinia. Race 1 of the weekend, Schmidt, Sammartin and Bonnell on the front row, Cortez, Astet and Pernat on row 2, Krasnicki, Payet, Nedved, Kivers, Ullman and Bischoff bringing us down to 12th place. As always, we've got a really strong field on our hands here in Sardinia. Let's see how this one unfolds. We're underway for the first time this weekend, and look at that start from Mark Reiner-Schmidt. It's not the best start of everybody, though. Steve Bonnell with a mega launch. He is the leader then through the first few corners. They skip that initial dirt section for lap 1 and lap 1 only, and Mark Reiner-Schmidt there almost snagged the wheel of Elias Sammartin, and that could have sent him off. Thankfully, he stayed up on the bike in second position. Sammartin on the Honda in third place, under threat there from Julen Avila Cortez. Cortez, who, of course, comes into this weekend as the leader in the championship, having taken the first GP of the season on home turf in Spain. Can Sammartin win on home turf here? He did so at Sardinia previously, of course. You can follow there Mark Reiner-Schmidt right on the back of Steve Bonnell, and it does look like Bonnell and Schmidt are getting away here in the early stages. Sammartin keeping a watching brief in third position as they cross the line. You can see how much of that runoff they're now using through the chicane. Steve Bonnell is under quite a lot of pressure here, I'd suggest. The Frenchman riding out of his skin right now aboard the TM, the leading light these days for the TM manufacturer, and goodness me, that was a launch from Mark Reiner-Schmidt. That was uncompromising, to say the least. But the Ducati is now at the front of the field once again. The 41, the four-time champion. Initially on the road, of course, the 2025 champion that was then disqualified from the last couple of meetings of the season. So he's looking to get that 5th championship on the doors for 2026. Sammartin closing in on Steve Bonnell now. Bonnell seems to have just come off the boil a little bit here since Schmidt got past. Indeed, the Honda rider, here in his first of 2 home events, dives to the inside. Elias Sammartin up to second place. He knows this place well. He knows Busca well, and of course that's our next destination on the calendar. Busca in particular, he is very familiar with. And Elia, a legend in the Italian Supermoto community, would love to try and get a GP win here in the World Championship during this Italian leg of the season. He's got good pace here relative to Mark Reiner Schmidt. Half distance in the race. Is Schmidt just holding something, saving something here for the last stages of the race? He and Team Undici still working very hard to develop that Ducati that they've adopted for the 2026 season. It's so exciting to see the Bologna mark on the grid. But the BRT Honda, Elia Sammartin right on the wheel as they head towards the end of the race. Sammartin has pace, but I think he might run out of road here. We're just a couple of corners from home. He's got Mark Reiner Schmidt in his crosshairs, but it's just too little too late. Mark Reiner Schmidt holds on to win it. Ducati wins in Italy for the first time in FIM Supermoto. And while it's a 4-haul of points for Mark Reiner Schmidt, Sammartin definitely had the pace. Interesting.
Yeah, great first race for me. I make not a really good start, but after start I was second. I could overtake Steve easily. I had a good rhythm. I take it safe. The track is very rough and broken and destroyed in off-road, so I take it safe, bring it home, and yeah, now I'm leading the World Championship with the Ducati. Feels great. Big thanks to my team, Team Undici, to my sponsors, to Ducati for the support. So I'm really happy, and let's go like this for tomorrow. See you there.
Minutes after the race, and he's already done the math to know that he's leading the World Championship. That's what sets the greats apart. Certainly a growing event, the FIM Supermoto World Championship visit to the Sardinia circuit in Tremazza. Lots of fans, especially on Sunday, to see all of the action with the world's best supermoto riders available to have a chat, sign an autograph, and then watch them do what they do best on the circuit itself. Exciting racing from race number 1. Let's see what the fast race and the super final have to offer. Fast race time then. Let's see who gets the best launch. Mark Reiner Schmidt tries to launch across the gate on that occasion, and he leads in the early stages. Elia Sammartin takes second place. Bonnell not repeating the lightning launch from yesterday. In fact, he's, I think, down to 5th position. One of the Suzukis is ahead of him as well. That was certainly not the start he wanted. That's Gabin Pernat who's running well. Julian Avila-Cortez slightly offline there in 3rd position. Gabin Pernat in 4th position on the Team Insane Suzuki. Great to have Suzuki back in the championship in a big way for this year, of course. They had a slightly troubled run at the first round in Albaida, but he's challenging for a podium position right now. Directly behind the KTM, ridden by the Grand Prix of Spain winner. That being Julian Avila-Cortez. Elia Sammartin is once again chasing Mark Reiner Schmidt, and he's got a dozen laps here, well, 10 laps left to go, to try and hunt down the German. Sammartin looks like he's got the bit between his teeth this weekend. Cortez leading a long train behind him. And great to see Gabin Pernat there in 4th. Bonnell in 5th place, just behind the man we ride on board with now. A distinctive yellow mud flap. Great to have the factory Suzuki colours that one always pictures. Going through that dirt section, which you heard Mark Reiner Schmidt alluding to being a little bit destroyed. There's been some mixed weather in the weeks leading up to this event, and certainly the dirt section not quite as smooth as it has been in years previous, but only adding to the challenge for our riders. And look at that, Steve Bonnell must have got a brilliant run out of the last corner, just fired past Pernat. Gabin Pernat, the Frenchman, great to have him on a full-time deal this year. We've seen him here and there, and of course he's represented his country in the Nations. You get the feeling that he and Steve Bonnell will kind of be duking it out for the next several years as the top French rider. Schmidt looking aggressive there on the Team Undici Ducati. Sammartine not yet able to quite zone in on the back wheel of that Ducati. Will this shorter race distance maybe benefit the Ducati, because it was the last laps of the race where Marc Reiner Schmidt in race number 1 started to lose out to Sammartine. We'll keep an eye on that thread. But the gap between the two of them seems relatively stable for the time being. Marc Reiner Schmidt controlling things at the front, as he's so used to doing. See how they have to sit up there coming off that first dirt section. Very little traction to work with as they head back onto the tarmac. Steve Bonnell, having cleared the Suzuki, was right there on the rear wheel of Julen Avila-Cortez on that MTR KTM. I wonder if Bonnell can get through into third place. Sammartine is once again hunting down Marc Reiner Schmidt. Has he got enough time to make a move? Cortez and Bonnell close together as well. Don't really know which way to look. A lot of fighting going on the circuit here. We're again into the final lap of the race. And again, I think Elias Sammartine is just going to fall short. Yes, Marc Reiner Schmidt holds it at the line. 2 from 2 so far this weekend, but at no point has it looked particularly comfortable for Marc Reiner Schmidt. Sammartine, Cortez, Bonnell, Pernau, your top 5 ahead of Mitja Krasnicki.
I'm very proud about this GP for my speed and the work about my team. 2 second place, very close to Marc. Now I try to my best and I try to win on the super final. Thanks.
Well, we'll see if he can do it. Elias Sammartine second in the point standings for the Grand Prix behind Schmidt, Bonnell, Cortez, Krasnicki, your top 5. Time then for the super final, and it's Schmidt, Sammartine and Julen Avila-Cortez on the front row. Let's keep an eye on the big 3, but also some of those names further back. Someone like Emeli Astet in his first appearance in the World Championship. He could be one to watch from the 4th row. The super final is go, and all contact there between Sammartine and Schmidt. Bonnell with a decent launch. He moves up to 2nd place, but it's Schmidt that leads the way. Sammartine 3rd, Avila-Cortez in 4th place, and Gabi Pernau in P5. Knee down there for Avila, trying to go around the outside of Elias Sammartine, who cuts him off at the pass as they go through those hairpins. Pernau with a bit of a bobble there. I think would have briefly been out of the seat. You see Avila-Cortez always arcing quite wide there through that section. Takes a slightly different line to everybody else. Everyone has their own approaches. Of course, the dirt sections here in Supermoto often have multiple choices in terms of what line you can take, but it seems everyone figures out exactly where they should be quickly. But saying that, you saw Bonnell and Sammartine there taking the inner berm, where Marc Reiner Schmidt went for the outside line. Schmidt across the line then as the leader, Bonnell chasing. He's right there with Marc Reiner Schmidt, who so far has faced a great deal of adversity from behind in the form of Elias Sammartine. He's now got Bonnell for company. Of course, Bonnell was the early leader in the first race of the weekend. Can he try and claim a full haul of points from the super final? Even if he did, I don't think it would quite be enough to win the GP as an entire classification over Schmidt, unless Schmidt continued to drop down the order. But the Ducati still at the front for the time being. Certainly not, though, streaking away in the fashion that we often see from Marc Reiner Schmidt. He's ahead. Maybe he's just managing, I don't know, but it does appear that Bonnell and Sammartine are a step closer. Perhaps TSV Racing for Bonnell and the factory team, BRT, for Sammartine have taken steps forward. We're seeing some battles there further back. A bit of a dive to the inside there. Bischoff and Viola were fighting, and then the Emilia Estet number 18 got by. We rejoined the top three, and San Martin watching on with interest. The three protagonists of this event separated by less than 2 seconds last time across the line. You get the feeling that Schmidt's time in the lead might not extend to the checkered flag. Laps are running out though, and the Joker lane, of course, a factor here in the super final, and it's looking very treacherous indeed there on the outside of the final turns. Quite a long Joker lane as well. Mark Reiner Schmidt there just rejoining ahead of some traffic. That was probably a critical moment in the race. When does Bonnell choose to take his Joker, I wonder? Bonnell has assumed the race lead. Takes the multi-apex final sequence of corners. Yelena Villa-Cortez, I think he's already served his Joker, running in a fairly lonely 4th place at the moment. Elia San Martin still giving chase here, but it looks like his pace has ever so slightly fallen off. It is Mark Reiner Schmidt ahead of him, so Elia San Martin has already taken his Joker as well. I guess he's not too far back from Mark, but I think he has lost a little bit of time to him. The real question, though, is when will Bonnell serve that Joker? It's the final lap of the race. Steve Bonnell is your race leader, but he has to go to the Joker. It's going to be really close run here. Mark Reiner Schmidt will be coming through the final corners. It's the last lap of the race. Will Steve Bonnell emerge as leader? Oh, no, not quite. They're going to be side by side, are they? No. Mark Reiner Schmidt has done enough. Narrowly, he wins it. Bonnell with a bold strategy there to take the Joker at the last opportunity. And it almost paid off for him, that clear track advantage. Bonnell, I think, had a bit more pace than Mark, but Mark still wins the super final, and with it the Grand Prix ahead of Bonnell and San Martin. What a race, and what a Grand Prix. Schmidt wins it from San Martin and Bonnell, Avila, Pernat, Krasnicki, your top 6. Steve Bonnell to the 3rd place step on the podium. I'm sure he'll be happy with his pace, but disappointed with how that super final panned out. Elia San Martin, always a big smile on his face, but especially when he gets to stand on the podium. Mark Reiner Schmidt, after taking victories in races last time, this marks the first time that he and Team Undici have won with a Ducati in the Grand Prix standings. Alessandro Salinas there presenting the trophies. Big trophies they are as well, very impressive. Diego Clement sharing a moment here with Mark Reiner Schmidt as the red plate goes to the 41 rider. What an event here in Sardinia. We celebrate with 958 Santero showers to conclude a great weekend.
It was a perfect weekend from the Super Pole. Over all 3 races, I could take the red plate, gain some points. We had a good setup here with the bike. I'm really thankful for the team, for the sponsors, for all the supporters, for my family. So yeah, I enjoyed to ride the bike and can't wait for Busca. We will test there before, and for sure we can make the next steps. And yeah, I enjoy every lap out here in Sardinia. It was a great GP for me, and yeah, I'm happy and proud to be here and have the red plate again. Yeah.
Well, there we go. Red plate to Mark Reiner Schmidt. Avila Cortez 2nd in the championship ahead of Bonnell, San Martin, and the current rookie points leader, Mitja Krasnicki, who's been on great form so far this season, the Swiss rider. The Grand Prix of Piemonte is next. We head to the Italian mainland for round number 3.